Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice. It's a brand new week, the sun's shining bright. A chance to cast your net, step into the light. Life's full of challenges, it's a winding stream. But with Coach Rice, you'll find your dream.
Morning, happy Monday. You are on with Coach Rice this morning. Welcome to Casting the Net Mondays with Coach Rice, where we dive deep into the topics that matter most to you and your mental health and well-being. I am your host, Coach Rice, your professional certified life and health coach and trained mental health counselor on today. And in this episode, Casting the Net, we welcome Sarah Dawkins, a former registered nurse turned holistic health coach, turned into a holistic health coach, who shares her powerful journey of natural healing after spending 20 years in conventional medicine. Sarah discovered the transformative power of addressing health from the root cause. I like the root cause. Focus on core beliefs, mindset, and holistic wellness. I love the root cause aspect because once you pull the root out, the rest is history. So I just want Sarah, I just want to welcome you. Thank you so much for joining my show today. And I want you to tell us where you're from and tell us about how did you walk into this journey?
Thank you, Martha. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm originally from the UK, but we live out in Spain.
Oh, nice. From Spain.
Yeah, it's a great life. And where I've come from, well, I've come from the medical model. My mum and dad were in the medical model. My mum was a nurse, and that's how I was raised, believing that we need pills and doctors when we're sick. And that's how my life progressed for 41 years, believing that until somebody challenged my beliefs around the need for pharmaceuticals at home. So I'm thinking, I wonder why she said that, because she's a nurse. So I went home and did lots of research, found out about the power that we have for ourselves through changing our diet, our lifestyle. And the more research I did led me down to the power of the mind and the body and the link between the mind and the body. And I went on to start my own healing. Before that, never even considered that I could heal myself. I always thought I need a pill or a medicine or an intervention. Now I'm thinking, I wonder what I can change that will have an impact on me, because I was only reading about it. I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't seeing people who'd done it, just literally reading. So I started tweaking my nutrition and my lifestyle, and healed psoriasis, eczema, and acid reflux in about a month.
Wow.
So now I'm starting to see real results in my own body from what I'm doing, seeing my body heal itself. So then I went on and healed chronic pain, candida, bulimia, PTSD, underactive thyroid, burned out adrenal glands, and depression with suicidal thoughts. So I'm thinking, because it was all new to me and really mind-blowing, I'm like, I need to tell the world this. There must be other people doing it, but I'm not seeing many people. So I started writing about my own journey to help others. And then I realized I needed to be bigger. I need to write about more people. So I reached out, asked people, has anybody done this? Who's healed themselves? What have you healed? How have you healed it? Do you want to share your journey? And that's how my book, Heal Yourself, was born, out of my own healing and my wanting to share with the world that we can heal ourselves. We can come out of those dark places. We can heal those autoimmunes and things that doctors tell us that we can't. So for me, I'm like, I want to tell the world, shout it from the rooftops, because it was just so new.
Right. And I love the fact that you start to be curious about, wait a minute, what's really happening here? This is not, this, I have questions that's not being answered, right? And so you start to dig in. I like that aspect of how you start to dig in with what you're dealing with. And so I love that part. And so tell me, are you is it, like, how are you addressing these medical issues? It's not, since it's not through medicine?
It's not through medicine, no,
Right.
because I stepped out of that. Although, don't get me wrong, medicine has a place for accidents,
Mm-hmm.
trauma, emergencies. It does have a place for that. But outside of that, we can heal ourselves, and healing, but also health, I believe, fall into four pillars. There's the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. And to stay healthy, we need to address all of those pillars. But to heal, we also need to address all of those four pillars, because there's often aspects of every single one in the need for healing. And we have to look at it as holistic. If you look back of years of old, doctors, or quacks as they were called then, looked at the body as a whole, the body, the mind, the organs, the tissues, the joints, everything was dealt with as a whole. As medicine progressed,
Mm-hmm.
everything was separated out. So we've got the cardiologist, the pulmonologist, the neurologist, the dermatologist, and everything's like just an individual organ or piece of us, not holistic. So we have to bring it back. We have to look at ourselves as holistic, and we have to look at health and healing as holistic. And that's why we need to address those four pillars to stay healthy, but also to heal, because there's an elements of each one of those usually missing. And that's why we succumb to ill health, diseases, and diagnoses.
That's true. Tell us more about the pillars.
Okay, so the first pillar, I call it the first pillar because it's the physical plane. And that is where most people, including myself, start to look. What can I do with nutrition, hydration, exercise, sleep, and maybe some breathing work? And that's where we tend to go. What do I need to change in my diet? What supplements do I need to take? Do I need to exercise a bit more? So that's where we tend to first focus when we're looking at health and healing. And I did too. And I thought that was it, just those, within that physical pillar, until I learned further down the line. I'm like, so I changed my diet, do a bit more exercise, de-stress, get, good night's sleep. But as I did lots more research in, and then as I succumbed to mental health problems, I went into a deep, dark depression. I realized the power of the mind and how we need to look after our mind as well. So we tend to be busy, 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 and we don't tend to just be. So we can be through gratitude, mindfulness, and meditation. And that's where I first started out. Although the meditation I struggled with, because in my mind, meditation meant sitting on a floor, cross-legged, going, because I had no knowledge of what it was all about.
Right.
And so in the end, I found some guided meditations online. And that helped me because I could listen to the words, make the pictures, and go in that journey on my mind. So it helps calm my mind and stop it working in overdrive, looking at horrific scenarios. So if we can calm our mind through mindfulness, gratitude, and meditation, that's really helpful. But we also need to stimulate our mind as well. So like learning a new language, doing crosswords, puzzles, learning some new crafts, things like that, that really help us to learn and grow. That's the mind, looking after our mind. And I found the spiritual aspect of it through the meditation, because that's about coming back inside of us to that little voice, whatever name you want to give it. Some people call it inner wisdom, higher self. Other people call it God, the angels, the universe. The name is irrelevant. What really matters is within all of us is that tiny little voice, and it's there for us. And often we've disconnected ourselves from that. Meditation and quiet time, walking in nature, doing something peaceful, brings us back inside. And that's what I mean by the spiritual pillar. It's not a religious, it's not a principle specific, it's about reconnection to that voice.
Yes.
And the last pillar is the emotional pillar. And I didn't even realize it was there until I did my coach training. And then I realized we have to heal our past. That is what the emotional part is. Heal our past, understand
Yes.
our triggers, understand our behaviors, and understand our beliefs, because most of us don't even understand our beliefs until something triggers us. So with me, it was about when my colleague said, "Why do you need pharmaceuticals at home?" I'm like, well, that's what healing is, right? That's all I knew. So she challenged my core belief that I need a pill to heal. And that's what set me off on my journey. But we have a lot of other triggers within us that we often don't know what our core beliefs are until we feel that trigger. And then we can ask ourselves, what emotion is behind that trigger? What behavior or what happened to us in the past that led us to believe that? And what is it about that belief now that's triggered? So when we can learn to unpick that, we tend to find out what our core belief is, but also where it came from. So my belief that I needed medicine to heal was my family's belief, because my mum was a nurse, and that's how I was raised. So we tend not to even notice our core beliefs because we're just running our lives with our core beliefs running us. So when we can take that step back and say, what do I believe about my own body and its healing ability? Do I believe I need that medicine, or do I believe my body can heal? And the thing is, if we believe we need that medicine and that doctor, we are never going to heal ourselves, because our core belief is that. Unless we can challenge and change it like I did, we're never going to believe that we can heal ourselves. So we have to be honest about where our beliefs are and not berate ourselves for that, because if we believe that, that's what our belief is. Until maybe something might come along like it did with me to challenge it. But not everybody's able to open their mind and go, oh, I wonder what else there could be outside of what I believe. So it's about having that ability to open your mind into other possibilities. And as I say, we're not all designed like that. Some people have a fixed tunnel vision, and I did until I was challenged, because why would I want to think anything else?
Right.
Our subconscious mind runs us on autopilot. So until we're challenged, and then we can either go and research to find information that maybe contrasts our belief, or we can go and look for further information that confirms our belief, to get confirmation bias that what we believe is true. So it's about understanding our
Yes.
beliefs and our biases as well, and being able to unpick those. But it takes courage to do that, because in unpicking that, there's a whole, where's that come from? Is it mine? Am I worthy? What is my worth? Am I, and confidence? There's a whole, like, you start digging a hole, and once you start, you need to keep going. But the beauty of root cause healing is that, as you've rightly said, once you pull out that root, it's not going to grow again. So we really tap into true healing, whereas Western medicine gives us pills and we think we're healed, as I did, but actually all we're doing is suppressing that symptom or reducing that symptom. And that's
Yes.
not healing, that's symptom suppression.
To get
Healing,
temporary relief, right?
totally, yes. Healing has got to come from the root cause to be true healing.
So that I, I'm amazed at the work you do, and I'm sure my audience is too. So you're able to literally bring out a treatment plan for different diseases within the body. Is it any? Do you have any limitations of where you don't go, areas you don't tap into?
Um, I haven't dealt with anybody with things like chromosomal anomalies, things that they're born with. But anything else outside of emergencies and trauma, as Charlotte Gerson from the Gerson Institute says, healing is healing. You can't heal two diseases and keep one, because when we support our body to heal, it heals. So if we use those four pillars of health and healing in our life and in our healing journey, we can heal ourselves. But I have to say, from all the work that I've done with other people and on myself, the emotional pillar is by far the biggest.
That is so true. And so, do you think that? And this is the question I'm gonna ask. Do you think that your emotional state being extremely high and stressed is the biggest cause of inflammation
Oh,
that
totally.
arises in your
Stress.
body.
Yeah. Stress causes inflammation in the body, but then so does some foods. Um, there's a whole,
Yes.
gambit of things that we can put together that causes inflammation, but stress is by far the biggest. And we all know that stress is a killer, and it's a killer
Yes.
because of the inflammation it causes.
So when you're dealing with the healing process, like for instance, like hyperthyroidism,
Hyper,
if you're
yeah.
working with hyperthyroidism, which causes you to drastically lose weight, you start with those pillars, if I'm understanding,
Yeah.
and work your way through.
Yes, and find out what that person's belief is, because we manifest symptoms in our body, or we produce symptoms, whichever word your audience prefers. We produce those symptoms in our body from our subconscious mind. So our subconscious mind throws a belief out, and then we produce the symptoms that align with that belief.
So I have a question. So if I have, let's say, the gout, what would be going on in my mind possibly that caused me to bring those symptoms on?
Well, gout is also food related, as we know.
Right.
But if you think about gout, it's crystals in joints, and it makes those joints rigid and inflexible.
Mm.
So, is there areas in our lives that we are being rigid and inflexible?
Ah, I like that.
See that?
Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
so you work with them about you know, the
Beliefs.
rigidness in the
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
in the mental part.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes
Okay.
down to what are people's beliefs, and how do their behaviors play out their beliefs, and whose
Wow.
beliefs are they really, and where did they come from? And we can develop beliefs over our lifetime based on our own experiences as well. So if we grow up in a, say, a loving household, and then go out into work and it's a really harsh environment, and we feel bullied, not able, we lack in self-confidence because people put us down and don't treat us well at work, then our beliefs could be that the world isn't a safe place. I'm not safe in the world. So, we could grow up with one belief that could morph into something else based on what we experience in the world. And if we don't think the world's a safe place, that's going to have a massive impact on the symptoms that we produce in our body, because of fear and anxiety that the world is not a safe place.
Wow. So tell us about the book that you have behind you.
Thank you. So I started writing Heal Yourself about my own journey to shout from the rooftops, hey, look, we can heal ourselves. Wow, this is mind blowing to me, but you might have heard of it. So I wrote 10,000 words, and this little voice went, who are you? You're not an author. What makes you think you can write a book? So I put it to sleep on my laptop for 5 years, because that voice was there. I'm not an author. Who am I really, actually? And that was a whole authenticity challenge for me as well, because Sarah, the nurse, is now healing herself, so she can't possibly be a nurse. So who is she? So after 5 years, I woke up one day, I'm like, I've got to finish this book, and it's got to be bigger than me. It's got to be lots of other people. So I reached out on social media. Lots of people came back sharing their
Mm.
stories, but I had, like, there were some things I didn't have that I really wanted, some disease healings. So I went trawling the internet looking for people who've maybe written blogs or have websites about what they'd healed. And I reached out to a few of them, said, I'm writing this book to help whoever buys it to see that they can heal themselves. And I haven't got anybody with that you've healed that disease or you've healed that health problem. Would you like to share your own healing journey to show people it's possible? And you can put your name and website and contact details so people can read your story, know who you are, know where to find you, and they'll come to you from my book. And in the end, I had 74 people writing their own stories, from motor neurone, multiple sclerosis, multiple autoimmune, Lyme, cancer, stroke, allergies, asthma, endometriosis, mental health disorders, so many different things. And everybody had healed themselves naturally.
Wow. That's amazing.
Isn't it? Because we're told we can't heal all those things.
That's true. We put limitations on our healing. But it is, that's why I call this casting the net holistic health, because you're right, you can't heal one part and forget about the others.
No, no. Healing, we are holistic. So if we look after the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional parts of us, we just heal.
And I believe that if you have a deficit in one area, it's gonna ultimately affect the other areas.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And as we start to heal that area, it will also
Yes,
help to
heal
heal
the
the
other
other
areas
areas
because
too.
it's a systemic thing going on, right? And so,
Absolutely.
so yeah, so man, I'm just intrigued at the work you do, and I definitely agree with the fact that we do have healing properties within ourselves, and our belief system can definitely really contribute to our health at big time
Yeah.
because
And you only have to look at the placebo effect and the nocebo effect
yes,
to see
yes,
that
you
we
can
can
see the
heal just
difference.
based on someone telling us.
Belief is powerful.
Isn't it just?
It definitely take you on a trajectory
It will.
based on that's why you have to understand your core values and your belief systems so you can kind of
Absolutely.
see where you fall into. But I like the fact that how you connected the element of the disease to the mental state. I like how you did that because that
And
I'm yeah
and
because
and
I'm
that's
not
what our
sure
body
about
does.
the underlying workings of different, because I'm not a nurse like you are, like you did the work in that area. You know that
Yeah.
area, you know the medical part and the mental. So that's powerful when you can put them together because they do go together.
Yes. Yeah.
And most people don't really think about it. They separate it, like you said.
Because that's how how medicine's been separated
Mm-hmm.
out. So that's what it sort of sits in our subconscious that if that's what the doctors are doing, then that's what we must be.
Yes. So I like that. So tell us, what is your onboarding process when you take on clients?
Most clients find me through word of mouth and come to me with, I want to work with you, which is wonderful. But I'm not for everybody. I I have to speak to the people through an initial discovery call, if you like, to find out what they want, what they expect, and what they're willing to do and what they won't do. And so for me, I will only work with people that are really willing to do whatever it takes to heal themselves. Because doing the emotional work, I'm not going to lie, I've done it myself. It can be challenging. It's
Oh
much
yeah.
easier when you've got support, but you're digging into those deep, dark memories, which will resurface other memories. So it's about being able to process those in a safe environment from a place of love.
That's so true. You are absolutely correct. I like that. So you choose which clients you want to work with and
Based on how
based
willing they
on
are to do the work.
to do the work,
Yes.
because you're right, because change can't happen unless you're ready for it. You have to be ready for that.
Yes. Yes.
And
And
so
I understand, having done it. I know what it's like.
it is hard doing the emotional work. That's why you really need this. You really need help when it comes to digging into what you're gonna do to move forward.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have, when you going into your past, you have to dig deep, and it's uncomfortable, but you stick with the process, you will get out. It'll be fine, but you got to stick to the process, because the minute it gets
Yeah.
complicated, we want to run because it's uncomfortable, but we have to do the work so we can
Yeah.
heal and move forward. And so I love the work you're doing. That's pretty good. And so how can they
Thank
reach you?
Everything's on my website, www.sarahdawkins.com, SARAHDAWKINS. You'll find my book, my podcast, how to reach me, everything.
So what do you have planned for the future?
I'm actually doing some research for a second book about everyday people's perspectives and thoughts around empathy.
Mm.
Because not everybody sees empathy as each individual does. The internet says one thing, books can say another thing, but people's perceptions, wow, so diverse. So it's incredibly interesting to see how different people perceive empathy.
I like how you vet your books because you looking out and saying what are the people saying.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty
It's
good.
so interesting to see what other people think
It,
and
it, it
feel and
really
say.
is because we could be so close minded in our own beliefs that we're not open to learn from others.
Yeah,
And and it's so important to learn from others. You know, just on this call alone, I've learned a tremendous amount of information. So, so I'm so glad
thank
that you decided to join me on this podcast this morning, and so glad to meet you, Sarah. It's been so amazing, and so glad you reached out. It's my pleasure to have you because you bring in such an amazing wisdom to the platform. So thank you.
thank you, Martha.
And I just want to thank my audience for listening. And if you feel like this was a topic that can that someone else can benefit from, please do share because information is powerful and we all need it. And I just want to say, thank you for listening. Please go on my channel, subscribe. You will be surprised what information you may run into that may be able to help you or a family member or a friend. So please do come check out my podcast. I'm on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And thank you for listening. We are signing off and have an amazing Monday.
It's your time to shine.